This image of President Abraham Lincoln was taken by Alexander Gardner just 2 weeks after the Union Army victory over the Confederate Army at Antietam on September 17, 1862, during the American Civil War. In 1856, Gardner came to New York from Scotland to work with Matthew Brady. At the outbreak of the Civil War, Gardner assisted Brady's effort to make a photographic history of the war, but in 1863 broke with him and set up his own business in Washington, D.C. In 1866, Gardner's 2-volume sketchbook, composed of actual positives pasted in place, was published with a text probably composed by Gardner himself. The photographs, presumably purchased by the War Department, include pictures of the railroads, bridges, roads, rivers, campsites, artillery, battlefields, fortifications, headquarters, officers, and men of the Army of the Potomac. In the fall of 1864, in the Shenandoah Valley, Major General Jubal A. Early had been unsuccessful in slowing Major General Phil Sheridan since the recent Union victories at 3rd Winchester, Fisher's Hill, and Tom's Brook. By mid-October, Early was determined to strike Sheridan's army in their camps along the east bank of Cedar Creek. Early executed a surprise attack early on October 19th and drove 3 Union corps from the field. As Early paused to reorganize, Sheridan arrived after a dramatic ride from Winchester, in time to rally his troops and launch a crushing counterattack, from which Early's forces could not recover. Sheridan's victory at Cedar Creek extinguished any hope of further Confederate offensives in the valley, and was one of the Union victories in late 1864 that helped ensure President Abraham Lincoln's re-election that November. The raid on Harper's Ferry was intended to be the first stage in an elaborate plan to establish an independent stronghold of freed slaves in the mountains of Maryland and Virginia, an enterprise that had won moral and financial support from several prominent Bostonians. Choosing Harper's Ferry because of its arsenal and because of its location as a convenient gateway to the South, John Brown and his band of 16 whites and 5 blacks seized the armory on the night of October 16th. Sporadic fighting took place around the arsenal for 2 days. On October 18th, combined state and federal troops, the latter commanded by Colonel Robert E. Lee and including Lieutenant Jeb Stuart, subdued Brown and his collaborators. 17 men died in the fighting. Brown was indicted for treason on October 25th. He and his 6 surviving followers were hanged before the end of the year.